Sun just about ready to drop behind the Pacific Ocean as we look out west, and right in the middle, the crown jewel with the city downtown just beyond it, Dodger Stadium, in the memory of Walter and Kay O'Malley, will never die, not as long as they play baseball here, ever. In the fourth inning, no score. Jack Clark, Cesar Cedeno, and Terry Pendleton. And look at Fernando. You talk about cutting down on pitches. Now, if you could reduce the national debt that quickly, you'd really have something.
It'd be a miracle.
Strike to Jack Clark, who walked in the first inning. When you think about it, the Dodgers hate Clark from another movie. I mean, they have feelings for him going back to when he played for the Giants. So they know all about Jack. And as usual, a ferocious swing from Clark. 0-2. On the fists and fouled away. Late start by Socia, so they're still having trouble picking up the ball.
Clark is one of those hitters, and there are a number of them in both leagues, that Don Baylor of the Yankees said it best, that when they go in the batter's box, they're actually in scoring position.
Yeah, he's a wonderful player to watch. In fact, even the notes bear out for Clark. He's got on base, even coming back off injury, in 44 of his last 53 games. Somehow or other, to find a way. 1-2. And of course, if he hits a home run in a Cardinal game, it's almost the sign of the winner. And that's not bad for Fernando's fastball, 86. And that time in the dirt. 2-2. That's another thing you'll notice. We pointed it out on the game of the week throughout the year. Here at Dodger Stadium, the consistency of the soil around home plate. If the pitch is in the dirt, the umpire will immediately throw the ball out of play. 2-2. Ball free. Off-speed screwball. We get a report from Mike Brito that off-speed screwball was 77 miles an hour. Now, we've had his fastball clocked up around 87 to 88, so it's a pretty good difference. 3-2. Bounce it to Madlock. So Fernando has retired 5 in a row to Ozzie single, 1 down. And the batter, Cesar Cedeno. Cedeno, going head-to-head with Fernando in the last few years, has roughed him up for a couple of home runs. He popped up in the first inning. Interesting, too, you know, we talk about Vince Coleman stealing 110 bases. You know that if you subtract Coleman's 110 steals, the Cardinals still lead the league in stolen bases. We don't talk about speed.
Well, Whitey has got such a system. 5 guys go at all times unless he tells them to hold, and 5 guys have to get the green light. So, I mean, everybody, including the trainer, appears to have the green light to go.
Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Missed. 2-0.
Didn't you love Lasorda's line talking about green lights and all that? As we look at the stolen bases through the years.
The one that shocks you, you forget, the 76 Oakland A's, they stole 341 in the really modern time with the lively ball. The others, of course, are back away. 2-0. And he's behind 3-0.
Talked about the green light. Lasorda says he has a purple light that he gives to Socia, which means if you run, I'll kill you.
Purple light. 3 balls and no strikes. Cedeno will run if he gets on. Pendleton on deck. And they let him swing 3-0. 3-1.
There's only a few that get that as we look at Pendleton. Cedeno is one. Clark obviously is another one. He let Tommy Hurd do it 3-0.
3 balls and 1 strike to count. Sachs over to the right to fill up the middle. Screwball fouled away. 3-2. You might remember we talked earlier this year about quality starts, which is a very good news statistic. It really tells you about pitchers. Better than a lot of other things, especially since complete games have disappeared. Give you an idea, Tudor has 27 quality starts Valenzuela 24. 3-2. Ground ball to Sachs. A quality start is where your starting pitcher goes 6 innings or more and allows 3 runs or less. So it's no surprise Dwight Gooden had the most. But it's an insightful statistic for starting pitchers. Rick Russell might surprise you. Rick Russell for Pittsburgh made 26 starts. 24 of them were quality starts, and that was a guy who was on the scrap heap.
And I also liked he re-signed with Pittsburgh, said I owe him something.
The bunt up along third, a one-hopper barehanded by Madlock, and it is safe as Cabell evidently came off the bag.
That's what Freeman is saying, you came off the bag. Cabell doesn't believe it, and as always, he's going to lose the argument. Here's the play.
Maybe he's also maintaining about possession of the ball, but he's sitting up there. Yeah,
he's got the ball. Good play by Madlock. His only chance was the barehanded play, and he makes it. I can't see that foot, though.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick it off.
It looked like he went back. It looked like he went back for it.
Well, we see how important that is now. Darrell Porter up there with Cabell on the bag at first, and Pendleton a threat to run. So a single to third. Keep an eye on Fernando. Remember, we told you the third base side of the rubber or the first base side of the rubber. He's about pretty much almost on the first base side. So if Pendleton is thinking about stealing, Fernando is going to cheat over a little bit. And that's not like him. Watch him. See that? Now, he rarely pitches from that part of the rubber. But that's a difference of almost 24 inches in throwing to first. Yeah, picked him off. Cabell down to Duncan. Duncan to Cabell. And they got him. And Fernando set him up. He cheated 20 inches to first base and picked him off.
And he's got a good move. And it's the move that gets them. They can't read him, and they try to time it, and he just picked him off slicker than the whistle. That's where he hangs him, and Pendleton just couldn't wait anymore.
The secret of that is Fernando's incredible balance, and it's scoreless for 3.5.
Breaking too soon. Watch, Fernando's looking at him, and Pendleton breaks right here. Look at there. He's got 3 steps, and all Fernando has to do is give it to Cabell. He just couldn't wait anymore. The body was ready to leave the shoes.
The thing that Ron Peranowski always talks about is the incredible balance of Fernando Valenzuela. So many pitchers can get on one foot, lift up the other, and they have the equilibrium of a drunken stork. But for Fernando, he can seem to freeze like a statue, and when people do steal on him, they really almost blunder into getting him going the wrong way. They rarely is there a close play at second base. They either steal it easily or he hangs you out to dry, as he just did. And he made it a little easier, as we pointed out to you, moving over on the rubber. Now it's the Dodgers. Enos Cabell, Bill Madlock, and Pedro Guerrero. You've got a dandy. No score in the fourth. Right. Cabell, like Madlock, prospered by coming over to Los Angeles, and he's been swinging a very good bat for them. Little foul off first. Clark coming over, no play. Back in, 0-2.
You watch Tudor pitch, and I can't help but think of Lamar Hoyt of the San Diego Padres when he described his delivery, and Tudor's pretty much the same way. He called it relaxed aggression. And that's about what it is.
Yeah, you know, you could compare his numbers with Bob Gibson, but it's a totally different element of attack. Waved at and missed. For instance, Tudor has 10 shutouts. That's the most by any National League pitcher. Bob Gibson had 13 back in 1968. And you know, Gibson, like Tudor that year, struggled at the start of the year, where Tudor was 1-7 and turned it around. Gibby was 3-5 and wound up 22-9. But what scares me about Gibson when I talk about him in 1968, he had an earned run average of 1.1. How can you possibly pitch that good?
It's impossible. Typo.
It must be. 0-1 to Madlock. 4-time National League batting champion. I'd like to remind our viewers we'll be selecting the NBC Light Beer from Miller Player of the Game at the conclusion of the old ball game. 1-1 to Bill Madlock. Good pitch. Got the inside corner. Madlock had quit on it, and it stayed there. 1-2. Discussing the merits of the call with Dick Stello.
I used to love to listen to those discussions.
Oh, yeah, I bet. You didn't add to him at all, did you?
No.
Pulled a ground ball on the outside, and it's picked by Fenelon. I would expect Madlock to normally take that ball and go to right field with it. But he went out after it and pulled it and got away with it on the error by Fenelon.
Seemed like Fenelon just waited for the ball. He was breaking to his left like he didn't pick it up really right away and just booted it. It's a major league error. He took that one quick step to his left. Watch it right there. Now he's got to come in like he really didn't see it that well.
So Madlock is aboard on the error charge to Terry Fenelon, and Guerrero at the plate, way out in front. He started that swing sometime early this morning. 0-1.
Got a little percentage going, Vin. He's been hitting the ball because of the bad wrist to the opposite field, and he's even got that Manny Mota bowling glove on now, and there's a big gap between first and second.
He didn't have that on the first at bat. He told me before the game, he said it doesn't help, but he's going to try it. 1-1. Bill Madlock laughingly talked about it. He came over to the Dodgers and promptly stole 7 out of 8 bases. And he said, I wouldn't have come over here if they told me I'd have had to run. But they've run him. He went from Mad Dog to Los Angeles. Here he's known as Glad Dog. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's hard to figure out what Lasorda would do with Guerrero. Normally, you don't expect hit and run because he hits a lot of fly balls. But this is not the same Guerrero. There's a whole different atmosphere there with him at the plate. And there goes Madlock. And it is swung on and missed. And into second base goes Madlock.
Couldn't get the ball out of his glove. He changed speeds, and it's a stolen base for Madlock.
He's only stolen 8 out of 9. A swift one. Tough pitch for Darryl Porter to come up with anyway. Guerrero is over swinging and has been way out in front. 1-2 to count. I've seen a lot of players have a hot 10 days. I remember when Ron Say was with the Dodgers, he could carry the ball club for 10 days. I've never seen anyone carry a team for a month, which is what Guerrero did, and then turn the whole club around. He carried them in June, and the Dodgers then were 20-7 in July. Little fly ball to right. Going to be trouble. It's going to land. Madlock is being waved in. Cedeno way offline. The modern-day ball player calls it a flare, a modest thing but thine own. A blue single to right for Guerrero and an RBI. Remember, he's had only 6 RBIs since the 7th of September. But he gets one tonight, and now here's Marshall. Dodgers lead 1-0 in the 4th on the error by Pendleton. That's cash in, followed by the stolen base by Madlock. Marshall had a monstrous September and October. 39 RBIs. Fouled away. 0-1. So as Guerrero struggled, Marshall picked him up. And with Clark out, Cedeno picked him up, and Herr picked him up. And that's why these two teams are here.
You've got to have that team effort. Guerrero ignited him, and then everybody started to go.
0-1. Pretty hard to put a play on with Mike Marshall because he strikes out a lot. Of course, he hits a lot of home runs, too.
He's a lot like Jack Clark, a real hacker. When he gets that pitch, he's going to hit it hard.
0-1. Dodgers 1 run, 2 hits. Cardinals no runs, 3 hits, and an error. The error by Pendleton, then the stolen base by Madlock, and the bloop single to right by Guerrero. 0-1. High fly ball down the left field line. Coleman coming and coming right across the line to make the catch, and holding on at first is Guerrero. So with 2 down, Guerrero at first, and Mike Scioscia coming up. And of course, of all the players in the starting lineup, the top 2 as far as hit and run is concerned would be Mike Scioscia and Enos Cabell. But of course, Scioscia is facing a left-hander and a control artist. So we'll see what happens. 2 down here, 1 run over in the 4th. Dodgers leading 1-0. Right. After Scioscia comes Maldonado. John Tudor comes in here with having won 11 straight, 10 shutouts, and keeping an eye on Guerrero.
Porter says keep an eye on Guerrero.
Good pitch. Outside corner, he just painted it.
And you may have noticed that Tudor just held that ball a little while longer, changing the kind of the tempo between pitches.
John Tudor, most strikeouts in a game, 9. He did that twice. And he's watching Guerrero. He not only had 10 shutouts, but twice he pitched 10 innings, both time against New York. Didn't allow a run either time and didn't get a decision. He could have had 12 shutouts. Oh, is he watching Pete? Guerrero, by the way, has stolen a dozen bases this year. One nothing Dodgers, bottom of the 4th, 2 out. Well, you think that was Vince Coleman over there?
Interesting that he's doing all that. You can't take anything for granted. It's as old as the game itself, but the situation being what it is, you wouldn't expect him to run.
There he goes. Curveball outside. Porter's throw, wrong side of the bag.
There's the difference. I think Lasorda just keeps sending messages over there. And Guerrero taking off a big stolen base. It's way out in the strike zone. Porter has trouble getting over there. He's down on one knee, and there's no way he's going to get him now. He's already lost the play.
Darrell Porter, in all fairness to him, was on the disabled list twice this year. Broken toe, broken finger. Well, he's probably not 100%, and they're going to try and take advantage of it. Fouled away the other way. How about this? It's the 4th inning of Game 1. The Dodgers and the Cardinals. 2 stolen bases to 1. Who's got the 2 stolen bases? Would you believe?
Upside down game.
1-2 to Mike Scioscia, trying to pick up Guerrero. Scioscia had 53 runs batted in during the regular year. That's a career high for him. 1-2. Kind of throwing that around the corner.
That's that big sidearm curveball that he rarely uses. Looked like he was going to get him with that one, but it just broke too much.
Scioscia rarely strikes out. He is second on the team in walks. So for Tudor to get him, he's really going to have to make a good pitch. I mean, to get him to strike out. 2-2. fly. Back a third. Ozzie says he'll take it. And that's that. So Socia pops up. The Dodgers get an unearned run, and they will gladly take it. And there were 2 stolen bases. And we'll be back. But first, we're going to the 5th inning here at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers 1, the Cardinals nothing. Darrell Porter, followed by Ozzie Smith, and then John Tudor. Porter has given Fernando a bad time head-to-head over the years. He's hitting .389 against him with a couple of home runs, and he didn't like that strike call. He had a big LCS for St. Louis in '82, if you remember. 5 for 9. He also walked 5 times. 1 ball and 1 strike. The St. Louis Cardinals came in here with 101 victories. Two and 1 to count. The Dodgers with Fernando Valenzuela and Mike Socia, Enos Cabell and Steve Sack, Mariano Duncan and Bill Madlock, Pedro Guerrero, Candy Maldonado, and Mike Marshall, with Maldonado slightly over towards right center. 3 and 1 to Porter. Like Socia, he has a very good eye at the plate. Is that because he's a catcher, seriously? Do you get to where you really understand the strike zone better because you're catching?
I don't think so.
No?
I know that Bertie Tebbetts, a great catcher and manager, always said he could hit any pitcher he ever caught. I didn't believe that either. But
3 and 2. And that's stroked into right center and will fall. Maldonado over to play it on a hop. So Porter, a line drive single to right center field, and now the Cardinals try to come back. That is hit number 4 against Fernando, and it'll bring up Ozzie Smith, who, remember, singled in the 2nd inning and stole second. Ozzie is 1 for 1. Now here's a man you can put a play on, although you don't have a runner in Porter. Ozzie strikes out about once every 22 at-bats and has never struck out more than 49 times in a year. Right.
I may put a play on for the very fact that Porter can't run and stay away from that double play, which is the inning record. Ozzie is a hit and run man. Good contact hitter.
Now Lanier might have hung out a sign. In the dirt, blocked nicely, and Porter will draw a throw, if nothing else.
Porter's lead is not very big. I tell you, he's only about a half a step off first base.
1 ball and 1 strike. The count to Ozzie Smith. Darrell Porter at first, top of the 5th inning. Dodgers 1, Cardinals nothing. They're great natural rivals, the Dodgers and the Cardinals. Boy, the history books tell you that. The first playoff in National League history between the Brooklyn Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. It was your club in '46, and you won 2 games to none.
2 out of 3. Murray Dixon pitched great, and that second one, Burkeen struck out Howie Schultz to end it.
2 and 1. Check swing. They're going to look. No swing, says Fleming. Well, since you have a man who doesn't strike out and a very slow runner at first, you would certainly expect them to play run and hit, meaning, of course, that Ozzie doesn't have to swing at ball 4. So let's see if all that figures. Look at the lead by Porter, and he's not going. On a fly ball to left, Guerrero, a little bit of a startled reaction, but makes the play. That's strange.
What is?
First, that Porter's right on the bag. And second, they didn't have him going with a fellow who always makes contact.
I almost think that Whitey might have sent him 3 and 2, but 3 and 1, let him just hit the ball. Porter's lead is not very much. Maybe Darrell heard somebody stole a bag, and he was going to kind of guard it, but he was going to give Ozzie a chance to hit that 3-1 pitch. Looking for the bunt here, and you can bet that they'll really be charging hard.
And he's a good bunter, and takes a strike. Both Cabell and Madlock putting a pinch on him. Tudor has sacrificed 7 times, and then you have Vince Coleman leading off.
He's going to have to make Cabell, even though Cabell is charging hard. That's where I think he'd be making him bunt the ball towards first.
0 and 1. Foul ball on the count. 0 and 2. That, of course, if they can get Tudor, makes it a little easier to pitch to Coleman because that clogs up the bases having Darrell Porter at first. Coleman doesn't have a free rein. He has fouled out and popped up each occasion to Steve Sax. Dodgers 1, Cardinals nothing. Top of the 5th, 1 out. Ball 1. 1-2. Nick Leyva coaching at first for St. Louis. Al Lemire over at third. Bunch of fingers that went down by Socia 3 times. I wonder if that didn't mean throw to first, huh?
He's pumping signs is what he's doing. They're not reading fingers, I don't believe. 2-2. It's kind of hard to see fingers, so what you do is 3 pumps, fastball, 4 curveball. It's the number of times that you pump that really tell you what's happening. It could be very simple. 1 pump is fastball, 2 pumps would be curveball, 3 pumps would be change of pace or screwball.
2-2 the count. And he's bunting in the air, foul, and he is struck out. So John Tudor unable to sacrifice. That becomes a 3rd strikeout for Fernando. It keeps Porter at first and will bring up Vince Coleman. Fernando's high in strikeouts 14. Tudor's high in strikeouts 9 this year. So here's Coleman twice hopping to Sax. Young Vince 0 for 2. When Whitey Herzog sent him out in the spring, he said, I'm probably sending the Rookie of the Year back to the minors. Before you knew it, he was up here helping him win the division. Right.
They shade him towards right field, and that's what you saw Socia doing. They're moving everybody over. The thing about Coleman, he gets a lot of publicity for his stolen bases, but Whitey also says the thing, as we look at the defense shading him towards the line, the thing that he's done is given him good defense in the outfield.
Chase that one. By the way, Fernando is still making a lot of pitches. He has now made 90 pitches, and we're in the 5th inning.
Over 100 pitches, they'll start to watch him closely.
0-2 the count. Check swing, foul outside of first, so it's still 0-2.
That's what's so hard, though, Vin, because right now he looks strong. He looks like he's in control. In that first inning, when he made all the pitches, he was kind of floundering around a little bit, but he looks like he's in control. But it's been a tough season for him, as you pointed out.
Well, here's the count. 0-2 now. Screwball got him, and that makes the load a little lighter as he strikes out his 4th. They leave Porter at first, and at the end of 4 1/2, the Dodgers won and the Cardinals nothing. And Guerrero hit a blooper into right field for a base hit to score Madlock. So for Pedro, he's the proud possessor of the only RBI as he talks to Mariano Duncan, and we move into the bottom of the 5th. Candy Maldonado, followed by Steve Sax, and then Fernando Valenzuela against the brilliant John Tudor. Just clipped that thing in there. 0-1. Candy, a youngster from Puerto Rico. 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Back. The Cardinals are so well-rounded. They are one of 3 with the best record on the road, and they are the best team in the National League at home. They're 47-34 on the road. They beat you anywhere. And Maldonado goes down. We mentioned that Tudor and Valenzuela had faced each other once before, and it was the only loss that Tudor resulted. That was the box score. As you can see, the Dodgers got 2 in the 1st and another in the 4th inning, and that was it. the game-winning RBI, Bill Russell. There was also a bloop into right center by Mike Marshall that had a lot to do with it. So neither side really wore the other out. And here's Marshall. Sacks up there now. It was Marshall who followed Guerrero, who had stolen second in the fourth inning. And it was Guerrero this time who had gotten the bloop off Tudor to drive in a key run. Sacks singled in the third inning. Check swing and a one-hopper to Clark. He'll do it himself. But it is still rather interesting, at least up to here. There have been 3 stolen bases in the game, and it's the Dodgers who have 2 of them. Ozzie Smith stole second in the second. Madlock and Guerrero each stole second in the fourth. And here's Fernando. When you compare the 2 teams, the Cardinals committed the fewest errors during the year, and the Dodgers the most. And yet it's a Cardinal error that is the difference. So it's a strange game so far. Doesn't hold up to paper. One hopper banged into right field.
I think Tudor was just trying to get ahead of him by throwing a strike, and Fernando wouldn't let him do it. He gets a good whack at it. He hits that ball hard past Jack Clark. No chance to get it. Well hit.
Bittersweet for the Dodgers, of course. Valenzuela gets a base hit. That's nice. But, of course, he has a lot of pitching to do. And with 2 out, he doesn't have a chance to sit down. And Mariano Duncan is the batter. Duncan has grounded to second, grounded to third. 0 for 2. 1-0 Dodgers, bottom of the 5th. 4-1.
I don't know if Fernando's wearing gloves at first base because he sees the other hitters use them, or to keep his hands warm. How many pitchers do you see use batting gloves on both hands?
1 ball and no strike. Way out in front of it. 1-1. That's the thing with Tudor. Give you a lot of motion, and then all of a sudden that dead fish, and you're way out in front.
You mentioned Howard Paulette, a 20-game winner, a teammate. I'll tell you, he had a great change of pace, just like Tudor.
That is difficult as trying to tattoo a soap bubble, the way that thing comes up there. 1-1 to Mariano Duncan. Ground ball to short, and the Wizard feeds Tommy Herr, and that's that. So Fernando gets a base hit, and they leave him. And at the end of 5, the Dodgers 1, the Cardinals 0. We're moving to the 6th inning here at Dodger Stadium. 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. No runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Cardinals. And John Tudor would be a very normal thing to think of what might have been if Terry Pendleton makes the play on the ground ball by Madlock. There is no difference in the score, but he's down by 1 as we go to the 6th.
McGee's going to lead it off, Ben. He's been chasing the first ball, and the first 2 times he's missed the first pitch, and it's been a curveball.
Well, McGee followed by Herr and then Clark in the 6th. Willie struck out in the first inning, fly to center in the 3rd. Big difference. One reason the Dodgers kept him relatively quiet as far as walks, as we told you. They didn't walk him at all. And they usually start him, as Fernando did. They challenge him right away. 0-1. But what a hitter. He put so much pressure on the infield. 20% of his hits over the last 2 years have been infield hits. 20%. So if he got 216 hits or something this year, figure that out, that's 40 hits. Strike. 1-2 the count. Chased a bad ball, and that gets McGee for strikeout number 5. And that's 3 in a row. He got Tudor trying to bunt, then he struck out Coleman, now he gets McGee. So 5 strikeouts for Fernando.
The only strike he really threw was the first one right down in there. This one low and inside off the strike zone, and that's the book on McGee. If you can get to where you got 2 strikes and can throw in the breaking ball, he will chase it, but he usually doesn't let you get that far. Pretty obvious by the average he had this year.
Now here's Tommy Hurd, doubled and lost a hit, if you remember, on a fine play by Mariano Duncan, who had to charge and short hop and throw him out. Tom 1 for 2. He was the first Cardinal All-Star second baseman since 1968, Julian Javier. Ball 2, 2-0. Talking about the Cardinals, the Cardinal box has a special Hollywood rooter, Elizabeth Taylor. Dodgers 1, Cardinals nothing. Top of the 6th. Missed. So he's behind now 3-0. And of course you got Thunder on deck, Clark and then Cedeno. And a strike. Give you an idea of what a high wire act Fernando is doing. This is the 7th time he has gone 3-1 on a batter. He has walked 1 up the hill. Now 2. So the 1-out pass to Tommy Herr. And if you watch the Cardinals at all, you marvel at Tommy Herr. He gets on base almost all the time. I think he's missed 20 games this year where he has failed to get on base either by hit or walk. And there he is again. He's been on base 2 out of 3 tonight. And here's Clark. Jack walked in the first inning, rolled out the 3rd and the 4th. 0 for 1. The Dodgers playing deep. Maldonado shading in towards left center. And we'll keep an eye on her with 1 out. Right.
I'd say if he puts the play on now, I'd really be surprised with Clark and Cedeno coming up. Because I tell you, if he does, I'm going to lose a tooth and put it under my pillow. Because you want these big gunners to try to give you a lead.
0-2, and Clark, as usual, almost ready to come right out of his shirt front. He swings so hard. 0-2. On deck, Cesar Cedeno. 1-0 Dodgers in the 6th. Her with 31 stolen bases certainly doesn't figure to be a factor. 1 out. The only factor is that Clark tries to take a screwball the other way. And the whole right side of the infield is wide open because Cabell is on the bag and Sachs has to fill up the middle. He's almost behind second base.
I tell you, if Clark would promise to hit to the opposite field, the Dodgers would put him on the Christmas list.
That's right. 1-2 the count to Jack. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That rib may have come into play there, Vin. He's starting to swing, held up, and you could just see him give it just a little wince.
Remember the last time we saw Clark wince, he winced twice, and then the pitcher winced. He hit a 2-run home run. He did everything like Robert Redford except bleed through the shirt when he hit that homer. 2-2. Tommy Hurd first. 1 out. 1-0 Dodgers in the 6th inning. You chew gum or are you a tough guy? You chew tobacco?
Tobacco for a while like a dummy, and then I quit and chewed gum. Anybody chews tobacco is just dead wrong.
I'm watching Tommy Hurd chewing on that bubble gum.
Smart.
Screwball takes care of Jack Clark. Half a dozen strikeouts, and that means 4 of the last 5 batters Fernando has struck out.
It is a big breaking pitch in a terrific spot, low, and he just swings over it. He had a good cut at it, went all the way around.
He really set him up because all of the previous pitches, remember, were inside.
Oh, yeah.
And then he came the other way.
He is not a thrower, obviously a pitcher. You can't put up the numbers that Fernando's put up there by just throwing the ball and hoping.
Now here's Cedeno. Popped up, grounded out to Sachs each time. Right.
Taken all away for some reason.
Boy, isn't that something? What an acquisition. All because Whitey Herzog had breakfast with pitching coach Jim Cott of the Cincinnati Reds. Tommy Herr held on by Cabell at first, 2 out in the 6th, 1-0 Dodgers. Of course, everybody talks about the great trade Willie McGee, the Cardinals, got for pitcher Bob Sykes. How about years ago, the Cardinals traded Ernie Broglio and got Lou Brock. They made a couple of great ones. 0-1. Ground ball to Sachs. He'll go the short way. In fact, do it himself. He was looking to Duncan, but he was too far over in the hole. So Herr walks, and they leave him. And at the end of 5 1/2, Dodgers 1, Cardinals 0. And his bride here taking in the festivities. Last time I saw him on camera, he was putting on a raincoat in Toronto. And he is back here in Los Angeles. They are applauding Diamond Vision, which just showed a picture of Elizabeth Taylor. Meanwhile, the commissioner brought the final along with him. Toronto 6, Kansas City 5. Al Oliver's pinch RBI single won it for the Jays. Now to present matters. Bottom of the 6th, 1-0 Dodgers. Enos Cabell, Bill Madlock, and Pedro Guerrero. Cabell hit back to the box and struck out. Pendleton shortens up a little bit near the bag at third. And the outfield fanned out all the way. Big bouncer, and Pendleton just did get it. Terry is 5'9", and when he shortened up, that risked it, but he was able to go up in the air because of those tremendous thighs of his. Pendleton with great legs, and he can up the ladder.
Good spring in those legs. Funny kind of kid, too. He says, I use the Ozzie Smith theory of hitting in the field. If I don't get any hits, nobody else is going to get any either. Good play.
He's from Southern California. Terry is certainly well known around these parts. Here's Bill Madlock. You might be interested in the Southern California connection. Terry Pendleton is Port Hueneme. Tom Nitro is from Artesia. Bill Campbell from Corona High. Off speed for a strike. Brian Harper's from San Pedro. Ozzie Smith from Compton. Todd Worrell from Arcadia. And Coach Nick Lavis from Laverne. 1-1. Ground ball to the hole, and there's Ozzie, and he lets it get away. And Madlock is going to go for 2. The throw can't pick up by Ozzie. Miracle upon miracle. The shortstop who has won the Gold Glove every year this decade is unable to handle this one.
He was going to see backhanded, an easy play for Ozzie to hit him on the wrist. It's not the artificial surface bounce that you get here. Then he can't find the handle, and Madlock is on at second base. Man, you talk about headline news. Man bites dog. There it is.
I tell you, that ball went off his glove as if it was a Gold Glove.
You could hear it clang, clang.
Now they're going to walk Guerrero intentionally and try to set up the double play.
This surprises me. It really does, because Guerrero's not swinging that well, and you would think that they would pitch to him and get the pitch around Marshall. Whitey gets paid for the decisions, though, and it's a decision he makes right now. He took the monkey right off everybody's back, not going out there and saying, hey, pitch around him, and if he wants to hit it, fine, but don't give him a good ball to hit. If you walk him, okay. Whitey didn't do that. He said, put him on, set up the DP.
Well, Guerrero will get the intentional walk. Madlock at second with 1 out. And the batter will be Mike Marshall. Down in the bullpen, Campbell and Daly are loosening up. And here is Marshall with Madlock at second. Guerrero at first. Also, I thought Tudor is due to bat 4th in the 7th inning. No balls and 1 strike. So add to that the good play by Terry Pendleton. You could see what kind of an inning this might have been. High pop fly into shallow right. Herr is looking for help, and he's got it. It's Cedeno. 2 down. Runners holding, and Mike Scioscia at the plate.
I just want to point out that even though it's a routine fly ball, Tudor is making his way to the mound as he crosses over. He was backing up third. He takes nothing for granted. There you see coming in. Too many times you see a ball like that go up and the pitcher turns into a spectator, and then something happens and he's out of position, but he was exactly where he should have been.
Scioscia flied to left and popped to short. So both times he has gone with the ball, going the other way. See if he continues that pattern or tries to get something to pull. And he gets something to hit up the middle. That's a base hit. Here's Madlock. McGee's throw cut off by Clark. No play at third.
McGee can throw you out. He has an adequate arm, not an outstanding arm, but that was not a good throw. It was not a good throw. It was cut off, and Pendleton was up, and when it was cut off, he was not in position, and now it's 1st and 3rd.
So Candy Maldonado trying to add to a 2-0 Dodger lead. Maldonado flied to right and struck out 0 for 2. Bill Madlock has scored both runs for the Dodgers. And that's fouled away off to the right. It slipped in on the hands, and Maldonado thumbed it away. So Mike Scioscia singles up the middle to pick up the RBI. Guerrero, who was intentionally walked, gets over to third despite the bad wheel, and Whitey Herzog decides for a little extra plug. Tommy Lasorda, 2 runs richer than when he came to the ballpark. 2-0 Dodgers. And a bunt by Maldonado. Pendleton to the plate, hit his pitcher. He hit Tudor. Tudor was trying to cut across, and the throw hit Tudor.
You talk about a Halloween inning. Look how disgusted John is. A surprise bunt. Pendleton can only make a play at the plate, and there it hits him right in the middle of the back. Tell you, it's not a Rembrandt, but it still counts. Look at Tudor trying to get out of the way, and it hits him.
That's the first time I've seen a hit off both pitches.
Maldonado with 2 outs, a surprise bunt. Now they're going out. Gene Gieselman is going out to talk to his pitcher because Tudor took a nasty crack. The ball was, I mean, it was thrown hard. It wasn't a lollipop, and you can see that Tudor really took a stinger.
And it was the only play that Pendleton had. He had no chance to get Maldonado. He had to go to the plate and hope to get Guerrero, but there was Tudor trying to get out of the way. So it is 3-0 Dodgers, a somewhat bizarre play between third and home.
Tudor will get a chance to warm up here to see if he's okay as Whitey Herzog and Gene Gieselman make their way off. I tell you, it's been interesting, but it would be an understatement to say that. Everything that can possibly happen seems to have happened.
So Bill Madlock has carried in 2. Lasorda cheerleading with a 3-0 lead. Steve Sachs the batter. Not much speed out there, however. Scioscia at second, Maldonado at first. And remember, Tudor is due up 4th when the Cardinals hit in the 7th inning. So this might be his last inning of work anyway. And that's hit into left center field, and it's going to go. Base hit. 1 run is in. They will hold Maldonado on a double by Sachs. 4-0 Dodgers.
Here comes Whitey.
Dodgers 4 runs, 7 hits, and no errors. And the Cardinals, no runs, 4 hits, and 1 error. And Herzog gesturing with his nodding. Let's see, does he want Daly to come in to pitch to Valenzuela? One thing, John Tudor, who has been...
John Tudor backing up the play and knowing exactly where to go. It cost him this time. Now he's going for the ball. Now he sees Pendleton's going to make the play. He's going to get out of the way, but actually gets in the way as Pendleton has to sidearm it and hits him. Maldonado surprise bunt. Down goes Pendleton as he sidearms it, and Tudor trying to get out of the way. Gets in the way. Actually over hustling, I would say.
There is one other surprise in this inning. And if you are keeping score, I would think it would come as a shock to you. But the surprise is this. Remember the ground ball that Madlock hit? And Ozzie Smith tried to backhand it, and it went away. They gave Madlock a double on that ground ball.
Oh, Christmas can't come this early.
That's a bigger surprise than hitting Tudor.
That was an error.
And it probably hurt Tudor just as much. But here's Fernando against Ken Daly. 0-1. Here's the play, I think, showing you Ozzie Smith. If this is a double, I'm an astronaut. Are you kidding me? 0-1 the count. Yeah, that really made it a double, didn't it?
We may get a change on that one.
And there's one loop to left. Coleman is there. So it is a 3-run inning for the Dodgers. And at the end of 6, Dodgers 4, Cards nothing. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Dodger Stadium, the scene of Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. The Dodgers leading the Cardinals 4-0. 4 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. No runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Cardinals. And you can see Pendleton, Porter, and Ozzie Smith due out. Here was the play in the 4th inning. Terry Pendleton had a routine ground ball, and it came up and hit him in the belt buckle, and he couldn't stay with it. Madlock was the hitter. He then stole second and scored on a bloop single to right by Pedro Guerrero. And then the Dodgers got 3 in the 6th to chase Tudor, although Tudor was chased as much, I think, by the throw by Terry Pendleton as anything else. It'll be Pendleton, followed by Porter, and then Smith. Terry grounded to third and singled. And then, much to his chagrin, was picked off first in the 4th inning. I would think, too, that some of these Cardinals who are from Southern California put a little extra pressure on themselves, playing in your own neighborhood. He's from Port Hueneme, and we listed all the Southern Californians on the Cardinal Club. That fella yawning didn't have too much pressure on him.
What a time to catch him, poor guy.
1-1.
You know, the way Fernando started out, didn't think there was a chance for him to get a complete game, but he is one of the best closers in baseball. He goes to the whip in that 7th, 8th, and 9th.
However, as we pointed out at the start of the game, that was one of the big shocks for Fernando after twisting his ankle. He was unable to close 4 games in a row with leads. You can see where he ranks in shutouts with John Tudor, number 1. And there's a shot into right center, base hit. So Terry Pendleton singles. It got so that Fernando began to ask people, what am I doing in the 6th? Why is it always the 6th or 7th inning? And believe me, he's thinking that right this second.
He's one of those guys that never looked at a bullpen, but you could go into a streak like that, and the bullpen is stirring right now. Tommy knows it.
And here's Darrell Porter, struck out and singled, and he hits Fernando well. Now back.
You've got to say this for the Cardinals. They're trailing by 4, but they're not taking anything. Pendleton went up and took a whack at the first pitch, missed it, and then got a base hit. Porter got a high pitch, and he went to work on it.
Tom Niedenfuhr begins to throw in the Dodger bullpen. 0-1. Half swing, 0-2. Nothing Dodgers, top of the 7th, game 1. Oral Hershiser and Joaquin Andujar tomorrow night. 1-2. Fernando has walked 2 and struck out 6. 1-2. 2-2.
One grabbed by Cavell on the bag for one. No play at second, but that took a double away from Darrell Porter. As soon as Enos touched the bag, that removed the force, and he knew he couldn't get the ball down there for a tag.
Good thing he's a right-handed thrower. He gets that big glove over there and gets it. Hey, you see what he did?
I did. Yeah,
he tagged with the wrong hand. He snapped the ball. Watch this. What else is going to happen in this game? This is a Houdini play. Watch this.
One for me and
Hello
one for
there.
you. Gotcha. That's a gotcha. Of course, he has a black belt in gotcha. And with one out, here is Ozzie Smith. Are you going to tell Bruce for me?
He's saying nothing.
Not me. It'll be our secret. 1 ball and no strikes. Ozzie, who singled and flied to left, should have been charged with an error but wasn't. And the reason we say he should have been charged with an error, that totally wrecked the 6th inning for John Tudor. Line drive, left field, base hit. Charging Guerrero. They're going to hold Pendleton, and Pedro runs it in to make sure Ozzie Smith stands at first.
That's that 4-run lead. Pendleton trying to draw it, though, and Pedro brings it in. We're, of course, kidding about the Cabell play. If he touches it at all, the guy is out.
Sure. Tito Landrum coming up.
Now, that World Series play when Bernie Carbo scored, that was a whole different thing. You had to tag him. All he had, Cabell had to do was to tag the base.
Tito Landrum. That tells a lot, boy. Tough time walking up the bench, but especially in a league championship series. Hitting for Ken Daly. Runners at first and third. 1 out, 7th inning. And the Dodgers leading the Cardinals 4-0. And Fernando now in the 7th inning blues. Base hit and a run. And you can bet the Dodgers and Fernando are squirming. It looks like another one of those 7th innings. And it never used to be that way.
He's made 109 pitches and over 100. They were going to start checking him, and here comes Lasorda. So even though he has been a good closer up until this little streak you talked about, Vin, Tommy's got that big guy out there, and 4-1 ball game. He's going to make the move right now.
Interesting thing, too, when you get into the bullpen, there's a big comparison as Fernando gets a standing ovation. But again, the 7th inning jumped up and got him. We have tried to give you as many angles going into this league championship series as possible, the difference between the 2 teams, etc. Here's one that certainly bears remembering for as long as this series continues. When you look at the bullpen in the month of September and the week in October, for that period, the Los Angeles bullpen lost 11 games in that stretch. The Cardinal bullpen lost 15 games all year.
Left fielder, Vince Coleman.
Tom Niedenfuer, who has become the mainstay, had a very bad stretch throughout September, where he allowed runs in 8 of his 12 appearances. In fact, he allowed 14 earned runs in 17 innings. Probably a case of the bullpen getting tired, but he is certainly no lead pipe cinch. And with 2 on and 1 out, Madlock plays up, and the hitter is Vince Coleman. Ground ball to the left of Duncan. He has it on the bag to first. Double play. And with the Cardinals, that's the last thing you'd expect. It's only the 4th double play Coleman has hit into this year. 1 run, and it's 4-1 at the end of 6 1/2. It was Disraeli who said there are lies, damned lies, and statistics. And when you look at the Dodgers and the Cardinals, the numbers really don't make sense. Who has the most stolen bases? It's the Cardinals, so naturally in the game it's the Dodgers.
Right.
Who has the poorest fielding team? The Dodgers. So who makes the most errors? The Cardinals. And so it goes.
The only numbers that count are on that scoreboard. The Dodgers have 4 and the Cardinals have 1. Coleman hitting to a double play is one of those plays, though, that I think affects the whole ball club. They'll be talking about it. That's the last thing you would expect.
It
One
sure
pitch, Coleman a double play.
That's another statistic. The Cardinals hit into the fewest number of plays all year. And Bill Campbell coming out of the bullpen. Of course, Whitey uses his bullpen. It's called bullpen by committee. And he'll use everybody if he has to. 4-1. So Herzog and his Birds are down 4-1 here in the 7th inning in the first game. Ball 2.
Well, we saw Mariano Duncan bunt for a 2-base hit. The way things are going tonight, he's liable to bunt for a 3-base hit. It's been one of those kind of nights.
Maldonado bunting for a base hit, and Pendleton nails his pitcher. We've had stolen bases by Madlock and Guerrero, who are not exactly known for their base-running exploits. We had a ground ball get off Ozzie Smith's glove that was incredibly ruled a double, and that's it down the left field line, foul. And the reason we stress that is for John Tudor. If Ozzie makes the play, Tudor's out of the inning in the 6th inning, and it is, well, 1-1 now. But because of that, the play continued, and then Socia single, Maldonado single, Sachs double, etc. Popped up on the right side, and it'll be Jack Clark. So Mariano Duncan 0 for 4 as he fouls out. However, he came up with a big play on that hard ground ball by Vince Coleman and turned it into a double play. Here's Enos Cabell. Cabell hit back to the box, struck out, grounded to third. And of course he figured, because he made an excellent play defensively on the ball hit by Porter in the 7th inning. If he doesn't make the play on Porter, that's a big inning for the Cardinals. Remember, Pendleton had singled, and then Porter might have had a double. Smith and Landrum followed with singles, but because of Cabell's play, they had to settle for just one.
He made the great play in the pickpocket tag.
The fake tag. 1 ball and no strikes. 1-1. Pickpocket tag.
That's the way I heard an umpire described once. Said it. An umpire's like a pickpocket. Notice him, and his career is over.
1-1. The count to Bill Campbell. Working on Enos Cabell. Big, slow freight. Cabell bailing out of it. He didn't quite know which way to go. 2-1.
It looked like Cabell was watching Campbell's elbow as he threw that. From that center field shot, it looks like Campbell, the pitcher, just kind of disassembles, falls apart as he falls towards the plate.
I was doing your boot camp, and they tell you to pick up things. All I want to see is kneecaps and elbows.
That's it.
And I think there was a couple of other things the eyes would holler. 2-2. 4 runs, 7 hits for the Dodgers.
Watch
and
his
here's
delivery.
Kneecaps and elbows.
He hides behind that front arm, and then he comes at you one part at a time. Comes at you in sections.
They have a nickname within the ball club now. They call their bullpen the Save family. Ground ball to the hole. Flagged by Pendleton to get him. Good play. The Cardinal pitching staff has 44 saves. So they have picked up the slack after that brilliant Bruce Sutter performance of 45 saves. They have 2 double-figure save men for the first time since Al Robosky and Mike Garman, and that's 10 years ago. The Cardinals have Ken Daly with 11 saves, Jeff Lottie with 19. Madlock's been busy. Grounded out, was aboard on an error by Pendleton, stole second and scored, then was charitably given a double in the 6th inning and scored. Right. 1-1. show you what a remarkable and consistent performer. He had a 17-game hitting streak this year, matching his career high. The other one was in 1976. And he lifts a high fly ball to left. Coleman would appear to have room. In fact, he comes up and makes the catch. So the Dodgers are out in order for the first time since the second inning. And at the end of 7, 4-1 Los Angeles.
We're looking to sort of talking to Peranowski to stop the Cardinals, keep Coleman and McGee off the base. So far, they've been able to do it. A combined 0 for 7 with 3 strikeouts.
And McGee has struck out 2 of the 3 times. The other, a fly ball to center. All 3 trips were against Fernando. Now he's looking at Niedenfuhr. Niedenfuhr has picked up an extra pitch. It is the modern-day pitch. It is the one that everyone seems to be learning to throw, the split-fingered fastball, and it has helped him considerably. 0-1. 1-1 the count. Four to 1 in favor of the Dodgers. We're in the 8th inning. 1-2.
That had to be in the 90s, I was going to say. That was the best fastball he's thrown. 91 miles per hour.
That's the license plate on that one that just went by. Fisted foul off third and out of play.
I think one of the things about Niedenfuhr, too, that's overlooked is how well he spots the ball. He's got good stuff, but he's got a pretty good idea what he's trying to do.
You know, when you think about it, this year he's had quite a year. 7 wins and 19 saves. He's made a lot of contributions. And McGee, St. Funny McGee, as he strikes out for the 3rd time.
Was that when your better swing really looked like it was completely fooled, just trying to foul it off, hoping to stay alive? No, I don't think he wants to tape that and use it as a clinic.
Now the batter is Tommy Hurd. Double to left, grounded out. Good play by Duncan, and walked in the 6th inning. So Tommy 1 for 2, hitting .500.
He's thrown in the 90s, has to be consistently. 93, that one. You can see it from up here. The ball's bending in the middle like somebody's pouring milk.
I lost interest in that speed gun. Ground foul.
When?
The Dodgers are playing in San Diego, and they brought in a pitcher, and he warmed up. And the batter was Carmelo Martinez. Now, after the game, a scout said to me, boy, that pitcher, you know, in his 8 warm-up tosses, he got his warm-ups to 97. And you know that first pitch he made to Maldonado, it was 90 to Martinez was 96. I said, yeah, but Martinez hit it in the upper deck for a 3-run home run. I said, what does that tell you? I said, fix your speed gun. I just don't mean much anymore. They're just numbers. I think, and I'm sure you'd agree, it is not the sheer velocity of the pitch,
no,
but whether it's moving around at all.
Well, a speed gun can tell you how fast, but it doesn't tell you if the ball is moving.
Right.
The ball's got to move. On the one where the guy threw Martinez, it moved, but the wrong way. It tore out a row of seats.
Right. Here's Jack Clark. Walk, grounded to third, struck out. 0 for 2. Clark followed by Cedeno. And a good bunt because Madlock was very deep. No play.
You can see what Clark is thinking. They need 3 runs. He wants to get on base. Maybe Cedeno will pop one and be 1 run behind. He had a cinch base hit if he gets it on the ground. And he's not trying to pad that average. He just wants to get on, hoping that lightning can strike. Good play.
The speed gun is like looking at the hit column. The Cardinals have out-hit the Dodgers. Cardinals now have 8 hits, the Dodgers 7, and the score, Dodgers 4, Cardinals 1. Cedeno has popped up to sacks, grounded to sacks, and grounded to sacks again, so he's got that play down cold.
You know what I thought you were going to say? It was like the game-winning RBI.
Oh, I hate
it. Tells you something, but it really means nothing.
2 out, top of the 8th. Clark at first, and it's 4-1 Dodgers. Oh, he was going to try and hit that to the Dominican.
He had just made up his mind. This is going to be a fastball, and I'm going to swing. That ball was out of the strike zone. But the high fastball looks so big, and it's pretty simple. The high fastball, you see the whole ball. When the ball is low, you only see half of it. Of course, the good hitter hits that half. The bad hitter misses the whole ball.
You know what, in retrospect, I'm a little surprised at the Cardinals, because they are certainly as aware of it as I am and you are about Fernando and his ankle. Big chopper to Madlock. It's a fair ball, and the throw to Cabell. Daddy Longlegs over there open up like a pair of scissors. We'll talk about the surprise of the Cardinals after we take another look. First, Madlock has to go up, and watch Cabell open up those scissors. And at the end of 7.5, 4-1 Dodgers.
Stretch job on that last play, and I guess watch it here. Now he does something else. Look at the glove reaching out for it. Too many times you see a guy stretch, and then he's got the glove next to his body in tight, and he loses whatever he picked up with the stretch.
So Pedro Guerrero, followed by Mike Marshall and then Mike Socia in the 8th inning, and Todd Worrell, another local boy, is down in the pen with Bill Campbell pitching. Campbell working on Guerrero. Guerrero has struck out, singled, and was walked intentionally. 1 for 2. Carlos Diaz throwing in the Dodger bullpen. It's game 1 of the National League Championship Series, and you see Diaz in the Dodger pen. Dodgers leading 4-1. You know, after looking at him all year, I can't believe the swings I've been seeing him take tonight.
You could see that really hurt him, too, when he swung and missed. He's regrouping right now, trying to rewind or get that body back together, especially that hand. You can see it's taped. He's got that Manny Mota bowling wrist protector on.
He tried a batting glove on top of that thing the first time, and it didn't work. So he took the other batting glove off. The tape goes all the way around the base of the left thumb, across the knuckles, and as you can see, all the way, well, halfway up at least to the forearm. Two and one. All three. 3-1 to count. We have the paid attendance. And here at Dodger Stadium for game 1, 55,270. In the famous words of P.T. Barnum, every crowd has a silver lining.
There's a lot of silver here. Oh, boy.
3-1. Ground ball to the hole. Base hit. Pedro Guerrero grounding one. Ozzie Smith that had given a week's salary to handle it.
Almost got it, but just not enough.
So Guerrero at first, nobody out in the 8th. 4-1 Dodgers, and Mike Marshall coming up, and Whitey coming out to talk, and we might have a 2-for-1 switch. Cedeno made the last out. So what they'll do is put Andy Van Slyke in the number 9 slot in right field and put the new pitcher, Worrell, in Cedeno's spot. So Van Slyke will bat 9th. And Todd Worrell, who's from nearby Arcadia, will be called in from the bullpen. And Ozzie comes up a buck short. It is 4-1 Dodgers in the 8th inning. Sorry he has been. They called him up from Louisville on the 26th of August. And since that time, this big kid from Arcadia has 3 wins and 5 saves. In fact, he's been successful in all 5 of his save opportunities. And can he throw hard, as Mike Marshall will find out. Fastball. He has struck out 17 hitters in 21 innings. He has Guerrero at first. Nobody out in the 8th. Dodgers leading 4-1. And if you're not keeping score, Pendleton, Porter, and Smith are due up with Van Slyke batting ninth in the ninth inning. High pop fly down the right field line. Van Slyke's going to get his feet wet right away in foul ground. We told you earlier about how Mike Scioscia blocks the plate. Look at this collision with Jack Clark. Watch. And it knocked Scioscia unconscious. And Clark was groggy and went down for the mandatory 8 count. Fortunately, both men recovered, but it was a terrifying collision at the time. Well, Mike Scioscia has long since healed from that collision. Coming up to the plate, Jack Clark goes back to his position at first, and he's okay. It's amazing that he would tear his rib cage swinging a bat and not in the collision with Scioscia. Scioscia's 1 for 3. With the runner going, a fly ball to center, so they played hit and run. McGee puts that down for the second out. Candy Maldonado is due out, but I would expect Kenny Landreau. Maldonado is now going back to the dugout. And that's Landreau, number 44, coming up. So Landreau will hit for Maldonado and then finish up in center.
Attention, please. For the Dodgers, batting for the center fielder, Maldonado, number 44.
By the way, we have a moment, and to get to the real world and what is truly important, I'd like to remind you to stay tuned following your local news for an NBC News special report, Hijack Justice, with Tom Brokaw, followed by The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson, and Late Night with David Letterman. Of course, on the West Coast, the news special, Tonight Show and David Letterman, will be seen starting at 11:30 p.m. But Hijack Justice. Tommy Lasorda is down to the last straw. Whitey Herzog has still got plenty of chewing tobacco, so we've got a lot of baseball left. We're in the bottom of the 8th. It is 4-1 Dodgers. And here's Landreau. Guerrero at first, held on by Clark. Landreau has not been a good hitter coming off the bench. He's hitting less than 200 as a pinch hitter. Guerrero at first. Remember, he stole second in the 4th inning.
And Joey Amalfitano's very busy down there at third base, flashing signs. Seems that when a pitcher throws to first, the play goes on right after that.
Stroke foul outside of third. You might remember Landreau began his career with the California Angels, was sent to Minnesota in the deal that sent Rod Carew to the California Angels. At one stage at Minnesota, Kenny had a 31-game hitting streak. He has hit 300 once in his career. And watching him a lot over the years, I'm amazed that he hasn't hit 300 here. He has such a good stroke. 0-1. Guerrero goes. Swung on and missed, and the throw, he's stolen it. His second stolen base, and the Dodgers' third stolen base of the night. Can you believe it?
There's no doubt that Lasorda is sending the message to the Cardinals. You think you can run? We can run. Seemed like the ball was there in plenty of time, a bit high. Ozzie had to, and Guerrero just did hold on to that bag. Good ball to handle. Porter seemed to get rid of it in good shape. The fact that it was not on the first base side made the difference.
Now Landreau trying to give him a ride home. Fouled away. The Dodgers heat up their bullpen. Kenny Howell and Carlos Diaz. The Cardinals have Ricky Horton. That's Howell, the inside man. Rick Honeycutt now is going with Howell, not Diaz. 0-2 to Landreau. In the the dirt, goes all the way to the screen. Guerrero to third, rounding and holding.
He got in his left hand, Guerrero. I think he was carrying something. There was a breaking ball that Porter just didn't seem to get in front of. Whoa, way low and inside. Guerrero, some ideas on his left hand. Looks like he's carrying a glove.
1-2. High fly ball to Willie McGee. So they will leave Guerrero at third. And in the ninth inning, Pendleton, Porter, and Smith. Dodgers 4, Cardinals 1 at the end of 8. There did not appear to be any changes. Naturally, we told you Landreau hit Maldonado. And Lasorda talking to Bill Russell with Coach Manny Mota sitting quietly and listening. It'll be Terry Pendleton, Darrell Porter, and Ozzie Smith. 4 runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 8 hits for the Cardinals. And 1 error. Terry Pendleton grounded out and then had 2 singles. But he was involved in the error in the 4th inning that led to the Dodgers' first run.
As much as the victory, I think it's important the way the Dodgers have done it. They have completely dominated this game, and Lasorda and the Dodgers have sent a message over to that Cardinal dugout. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow.
For the Dodgers tomorrow, they have to feel they're going with Oral Hershiser, who has had a phenomenal year. When you figure that Hershiser has not lost here against Joaquin Andujar for 120, but struggled so much the last part of the season. Whoops. 1-2.
.92 miles an hour, that fastball, in a precarious spot. High and tight. 2-strike count just moved him right off the plate.
1-2 to Terry Pendleton. 2-2. Niedenfuhr and Socha. The infield of Cabell, Sachs, Duncan, and Madlock. The outfield, Guerrero, Landreau, and Marshall. The second strikeout for Tom Niedenfuhr and the 8th Cardinal to strike out. We've decided that tonight's NBC Light Beer for Miller Players of the Game would be Pedro Guerrero and Dodger pitcher Fernando Valenzuela. Light Beer from Miller happy to present a check for $1,000 in the names of Pedro Guerrero and Fernando Valenzuela to help fight multiple sclerosis. A strike to Darrell Porter, struck out, singled, and grounded out. On deck, Ozzie Smith. When the Dodgers won 7 of 12 during the regular season with the Cardinals, they won 4 of the 6 here at Dodger Stadium. And as we pointed out, in 8 of those 12 games, the Dodger pitchers allowed the Cardinals 3 runs or less. And, of course, as you see, they've allowed just 1 tonight. 1-1. That's it.
He's just rearing back and firing in the low 90s, 92.
Well, he's asked to work 2 2/3 innings, picking up for Fernando. Check swing, look at third, no swing, says Terry Tatum. 2-2. High pop fly, back to third, slicing foul. Madlock is there and then thought he heard footsteps. It was Madlock's play all the way, and he should have made the play.
He had plenty of time waiting for it. He's going to make it here, and all of a sudden he hears something. He says, well, I'll get out of here, and he does. And that's a mistake.
Now we'll see what happens, whether Porter can cash it in or not. Madlock has been fortunate tonight. He got aboard on an error by Pendleton, stole second and scored. Got aboard on a ground ball that was charitably ruled a double off Ozzie Smith's glove and scored. And now Madlock shies away on a foul ball, and we'll see what Porter does. No error on the play. High pop fly, and this time it will be sacked. Remember the old days? If a fellow made a bad play on a foul ball, you deferred judgment. And if the hitter then got on base, then you charged the guy with an error. But they wiped that out of the book. Then, of course, there's been a discussion on that play where there ought to be a team error if two men get together and back off. But baseball has resisted one change, and they have made a change in the other. Then the Cardinals are down to their last out. Ozzie Smith. Ozzie twice single to left and fly to left. Whoa. Well, what do you think? You can't think Whitey's down very much when he's got a 20-game winner going tomorrow night.
No way. You got winners and you got losers, and you got to win 4 to win this thing.
And boy, that's a big difference. Instead of best 3 out of 5, making it 4 out of 7. 1-1 to count.
How long do you think it'll take before you hear somebody on the first base side say, well, all we wanted was a split?
That's right. Yeah.
You always say that when you're losing by 3 in the ninth and 2 outs and nobody on.
1 ball, 1 strike. Little foul out of play, 1-2. But it has been a remarkable game, not for just the things that have happened, but they have happened out of sync. It's the Cardinals who made the error. It's the Dodgers who stole the bases. And, of course, the crowd on its feet looking for the last out. 1-2. Foul back. Tom Niedenfuhr would qualify for a save tonight. The pitches of record, Fernando to get the win and John Tudor the loss. That might have been that little split finger job he's working on. 2-2. He's going to stick him with a fork.
And that was a good time to throw it right there, because he's just been rearing back and humming. He's been firing the ball, as old Diz would say.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Popped in the air, foul out of play. 55,270 here at Dodger Stadium tonight. And a similar crowd, I'm sure, tomorrow night.
Would you believe that Joe Lasorda almost got that foul ball? Tommy's wife.
God, it did come close. 2 balls, 2 strikes. High pop foul, and it's Duncan saying, I got it. And he's got it. Again, we'd like to remind you to stay tuned following your local news for an NBC News special report, Hijack Justice with Tom Brokaw, followed by The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson and Late Night with David Letterman. On the West Coast, the news special, Tonight Show and David Letterman will be seen starting at 11:30 p.m. 4 runs, 8 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. 1 run, 8 hits, and 1 error for the Cardinals. Tomorrow night, Game 2, Joaquin Andujar and Oral Hershiser.